a big weekend coming up in the Premier League. Match week 11 of the season. Obviously, let's focus on the big one to start with. Liverpool against Manchester City at Anfield. Delighted to say I'm going to be there for PST. So over to Twitter, I have videos, lots more live analysis from being on site there. And I mean, Nick, when we look at this game, Klopp side sit 13 points behind City. They played a game less, but is this already a must-win territory for Liverpool to have any hopes of being in a title race? Because Klopp's already said that's done and dusted. We're not in the title race, but I still don't believe him yet.
He's done that before, and let's not forget last season. And I think Andy was the one who said don't give up on them last season, so full credit over there. Yeah, look, I don't expect them to win. What City did this week, they had to put in a lot of work with 10 men in the Champions League, but they also didn't bring Haaland into the game because they're clearly focused on this. This is going to be a rested Erling Haaland. Although we did see Mohamed Salah score what? 3 goals in
yes, we did
2.5 minutes. I know it was more than that yesterday. Look, this game's always going to swing both ways. This is now the proper derby in the sense of it not being local, but this is the one that you circle on your calendar. It crept up on us. Usually we'd be talking about this a lot more. Well, just wait a couple weeks. But because Liverpool has been struggling and there's no other way to put it, that's a conversation topic. I think Liverpool can still get back into the discussion, or they could if there was a discussion. I'm at that point. This is on Man City is playing against themselves. Sports cliche, I'm full of them today. But Man City is going to be playing the rest of this Premier League season against itself, and if it can function at their best way. And Liverpool at its best, especially with Trent Alexander-Arnold, as much as I've dogged him as a right back, out of the lineup, even at Anfield, is going to have a hell of a time beating Man City.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was at Arsenal's win against Liverpool recently, spoke to Jurgen Klopp afterwards, and kind of just it gave me a 4 or 5 minute answer where he just looked at me square on and just poured out, went through the entire game. He looked like a bloke who'd been through a lot over the last few weeks, trying to figure out. And, it's meant to be a happy weekend. It was a 7-year anniversary since he turned up at Liverpool, turned their fortunes around, won the Premier League, won the Champions League, every trophy going. And there's not been a lot of negativity around Liverpool in the 7 years that he's been there. But you can tell this is one of his biggest challenges now, how to reinvent this team, whether it's formation, whether it's moving certain players like Van Dijk or Henderson out of the lineup, where that would be unthinkable even 6 months ago to suggest that. But there has been regression from some of their key players, even Mo Salah. I know he got the hat-trick against Rangers, and that may kickstart his season, but going into this weekend, he hasn't scored in any of his last 5 games in the Premier League. So, Andy, I mean, for Liverpool, injuries are piling up. Formation issues are just weird. To me, it seems like going for it against Man City is probably their best opportunity of actually getting something and seeing one of those classic 4-3 wins or 3-2 wins we've seen at Anfield in particular, which has been difficult for City to go to. So what do you think and what are you expecting from this game?
Yeah, that could turn out 4-3. That could also turn out 0-7 for Liverpool if they go that direction. And that is the big obvious fear and worry heading into this game is the injuries that they've had, particularly defensively this season. I know Konate is just about all the way back, but he's going to need a bit of time to get up to speed, and they actually need him to be at one of the best defenders in the world right now this weekend when they play Manchester City. Obviously going to be a little too soon for that. Trent being out once again, a problem. We've talked about Van Dijk ad nauseum this season, how he's just not the same player. The numbers are starting to show that if you kind of compare what he's doing this season to 2, 3, 4 seasons ago when he was inarguably the best defender in the world. And it's not just defensively either. It's what he's able to do on the ball. And I think it's how much he's being trusted to do on the ball as well. He used to progress the ball and play a lot of long balls into space to create chances directly. That's almost non-existent with this Liverpool team right now, whether that's a byproduct of the tactics or his downfall. We'll find out that out over the rest of the season, I think. But yeah, this is a poor time for Liverpool to have to play Man City this weekend, just given the state of their squad right now. Given, I know the 7-1 against Rangers, they're going to feel good after that. But just given the general state of the squad as well, and the confidence where the morale must be, it leaves me wondering, and I don't know what you guys think, but how long would this have to go on before we have to talk about Klopp potentially being in a little bit of danger, because if they're not going to make Champions League, and if it looks like they have no hope of making Champions League this season, do you start a rebuild knowing I don't know, there's a lot of big picture questions that are too big for one video today for Liverpool. I think this game this weekend might actually highlight a lot of those and maybe accelerate that timetable a little bit for them.
Yeah, it's great questions. And again, we'll spend a lot of time this season, I think, debating this because it's going to be close for them. They simply have to finish in the top 4. So this game, in a nutshell, isn't going to decide that, right? It's going to be the defensive displays against teams in the mid-table or not having some of the shocks they've already had this season. But Nick, the difference this season, these teams have been so close. I mean, all last season, 1 point in it for the title, battling out for trophies galore. And this group of 2 sets of players, so much respect between them, gone head-to-head so many times in these big occasions. But the one difference this season is Erling Haaland. He is the X factor for City right now. And is it as simple as saying Virgil van Dijk against Erling Haaland, or is he going to maybe play on the shoulder of Konate, given he's a bit rusty, and Joe Gomez might be on that right side, it looks like, at right back, and Andy Robertson's just coming in back. He might start as well after being out injured for a long time. So there's a difficulty, I think, at City of just focusing on Haaland and then forgetting about, Kevin De Bruyne is around, Foden's around, Jack Grealish is around, Mahrez is around. So can it be that simple as Haaland is the difference this season between City and Liverpool, and how kind of far they've grown apart in terms of what they're going to achieve?
Here's what I see happening this weekend, honestly. If we're really talking about what's the Occam's razor, what's the simplest answer? It's this: crosses going in towards Haaland, everybody converging on him, and whether it be Foden, Grealish, Bernardo Silva, or I was going to say Raheem Sterling. Wow, his life changed. Whoever it is on the back end, just tapping in goals. I think this is going to be a big day for wide play. If it does end up being Haaland versus Van Dijk, good luck. Yeah. Good luck. The way we've seen VVD this year, I think he's still going to be okay for quite a while, but this is not the Virgil van Dijk of 2 years ago, and it may never be again.
You know what, though? There is something about Anfield on these big days. I've been lucky enough to be at these over the last few years, and it's just they crank it up an extra few notches, the noise levels, the anticipation. And even if Liverpool fans know in their heart of hearts that they're not going to be battling with City for the title this season, they want to see their team put on a show and put up a fight. And I see goals, lads. Let's do a quick prediction on this. I'm going 4-2 to Man City. I think Liverpool will create a lot, but there's going to be a lot of gaps for City to expose. So, Andy, what are you going with?
It's so hard to predict City scores now because the number can be absolutely anything. 3-1, I think, and probably not as close as 3-1 would indicate.
Nick?
Yeah, I was going to say 3-2, where that second goal comes with like 3 minutes left, and we're all like, oh, what about this? So I will, just to not echo Andy, I will say 3-2.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really intense game at Anfield. Over at PST, we'll have you covered with live analysis from on site, how to watch information, recaps, whatever you need. We'll have all angles covered, because even though Liverpool are languishing in mid-table, this is always a huge game when these two teams meet, when Klopp and Guardiola square off. Contrasting styles of play, contrasting seasons so far for these two teams. But it all kind of goes out the window when these groups of players who know each other so well, have gone toe-to-toe so many times. They always seem to put on a show, don't they, gents? So I'm sure there's going to be plenty for us to talk about before, during, and after this massive game at Anfield.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.